Hi there everyone. Today I thought I would come to you and give you a little bit of insight on camouflage and concealment. So I've set up my little base area and now I'm going to make sure that I'm camouflaged and concealed and hidden from enemy view. One of the key elements of camouflage and concealment is to make sure that you are not seen. You can observe without being observed yourself. There are a number of key concepts within camouflage and concealment, things such as shape, shine, silhouette, your profile, how you blend in with your surroundings. So what we're going to do is go through how we would reduce our physical signature, our shape, our shine, and the image of our face to help us blend in with the surroundings. When you open up your box of camouflage cream, you'll often find this kind of layout. Green, black, brown, and a little mirror on the top. Another example that I've got here, slightly different colours. I don't know if this is a tropical style one, but basically there's no black and it's a lighter green. The first thing we want to do is start with a base layer. Now, in this example, we'll start with a brown base layer. We don't want to go too heavy, you don't want to go too light. The best way to do that is gradually build it up as opposed to starting with too thick or too much. So what we'll do here is start with some brown. Lick your finger first or wet it on the ground around you and start getting up a layer. That's fairly thick, but what we're going to do is spread that around our hands and build up a layer on our hands. And then once we feel we've got a sufficient layer on the base, the idea is not to make the face completely black or completely dark brown. It's more about reducing that initial shine from the oils, the materials in the skin. Don't forget, naturally your hands will get a bit dirty through doing that, but don't forget to do backs of your hands as well. Just remember, if you are wearing gloves, that's fine, you don't need to do that, but if you take the gloves off, you're going to have to do your hands. Additionally, if you're wearing a scarf or a neckerchief or anything like that, you probably don't really need to do the neck, but again, if the scarf comes out, you're going to have to do the neck. It's probably worth putting a little base layer on anyway, but remember, if you are wearing the scarf all day, it's probably going to rub or sweat off, and you will have to reapply. One thing you do want to be aware of is something called panda eye, which is where you have white rings around your face. Now looking, I think I'm doing okay, but again, if in doubt, just get right into the corners of the eyes, just to make sure that that breaks that pattern up. Don't stick it in your eye, just around your eye. Once we're happy, we're going to start building up the other layers and the other stripes. Now the reason we do lines and stripes is to disrupt the pattern and shape of our face. Nothing in nature is naturally straight, so we need to bear that in mind when applying our additional colours and layers. So we're going to go with some of this green here. And with this, I'm going to apply some kind of horizontal stripes across my face. Again, they don't need to be uniform, and they certainly don't need to be perfect. Little tip, use load up 3 fingers all at once. You can get the lines across. Again, doesn't need to be perfect, it's more about breaking up the pattern of your face. Remember as well to get your ears. If you are wearing a hat or headwear, be conscious that if you're wearing, for example, an issue helmet or any type of helmet, headwear, hat, for example, up to about here is going to sweat off. So normally you would apply camouflage up to just above the eyebrows. If you're not wearing any hat or headwear, make allowances for this. But remember, throughout the day, keep checking and reapply if necessary. In this pack I've got a slightly different type of brown, so I'm just going to select certain areas to pop that in, just again to kind of break up the any kind of potential uniformity. Now finally I'm going to apply a little bit of black. I would say a word of caution with black. Black is very heavy, very prominent as well, and not a lot in nature is naturally black. So you want to use it again to break up those lines, but probably use it quite sparingly. A handful of lines is normally enough. Finally, one little tip that I always like to do is get your right hand, run your fingers through, get your left hand, run your fingers through, and then have one final round the back, insides, over the hands, and then just check with the mirror to make sure there isn't anything like hand or eyes or anything like that. So now you've camouflaged your face, you've got your headgear on, hands are pretty much sorted as well, got your neck up, you're ready to rock and roll. Let's see some examples of how you'd kind of blend into the local environment. Up against the tree, blending into the local bushes. When looking through cover. So when we're out in the open, patrolling around, we've got our face covered. We would normally have our rifle, which obviously is naturally camouflaged. It's black, you've got the green kind of hand grips and foregrips, etc. on it. So the other thing to consider is using the natural environment around you, natural foliage, to help break up your silhouette and to help break up your shape, and also to help you blend in more with the natural environment and use those materials. So I've gone around locally and gathered together a few items here. It best replicates, I think, the local environment. You've got some green, you've got a lot of this kind of brown. Bear in mind the time of the year as well. A lot of natural vegetation is dead or dying. We also today have snow on the ground. Be very conscious about using anything snow camouflage, white for example. 1, snow melts. 2, you can't attach snow to your weapon. And 3, it will naturally change. So just bear that in mind. So this is my webbing. As you can see, it's in MTP pattern material. It's slightly faded and worn, a little bit weathered. But what you will find is that attached to the sides here, I have some bungee cord. Now that's excellent for attaching camouflage, and I'll show you an example now. So we'll look at it, we'll take off some of the stems, and we want to insert that into the side of the webbing. Doesn't need to be any particular order to it, and you don't want it looking absolutely massive. You want it looking fairly natural, and again to help disrupt and break up the pattern of your webbing and equipment. Some of this green here. You don't want to overdo it and make yourself looking like a running bush, because then that does look a little bit silly. But you want it in such a way that's going to not impede the access to your pouches, but just help ever so slightly break up and disrupt the natural pattern of your webbing and your material. There we go. As you can see, it's a little bit more blend in even to the floor there. You know, just helping break up that pattern, breaking up the shape, breaking up the natural outlines of the straight lines of the webbing pouches themselves. And there we have it, rifle in hand. I try to keep the front pouches pretty clean, so I've got access to magazines and equipment as and when I need them, because they're the essential grabs. But everything around the back is largely concealed and camouflaged. So guys, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. Any questions, as always, just ask.